All right, I'm about to call Postmates. Does everyone want the fish dinner then? I'll just call a bunch of them.
Jesus is on the way, so maybe just get a couple. He'll take care of it.
Okay, yeah, all right, just get
2 then? 2.
All right, yeah, just 2. We'll just do 2 fish, yeah.
Yeah, maybe like 5 loaves of bread with it?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, perfect. Bro, I just got a Venmo request from Judas. Dude, Jesus just got a blue check mark. How did he get verified? He only has 12 followers.
I have way more than that. Dude, David is liking and commenting on every one of Bathsheba's spring break pics.
What's he doing? I thought he was supposed to be at war.
I don't know, dude.
Also, what?
Yeah, what?
Okay, we can't do that. Dude, I'm on Facebook Marketplace right now. Look at this. Joseph's brothers are selling him.
Can you do that? Oh, Job, he's just going on and on. He said he lost everything.
Probably gonna get a Kickstarter up soon. Bro, I was talking to Mary and Joseph last week. They're trying to price line a hotel in Bethlehem. Couldn't find anything. They ended up having to like Airbnb some like rustic barn, dude. Brutal.
If Noah Instagrams one more time about his DIY project, I'm done.
It's too much. Like he's like, I'm getting these instructions from heaven.
Oh, yeah.
Doubt it.
I ain't getting on that boat. Oh, look, another bachelorette in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Seen it.
Sin City, we get it.
Don't look behind you. You know what I'm saying? Because the...
What?
Okay, forget it.
Dude, are you friends with the prodigal son on Snapchat?
Have you seen his stories? He just like left his dad's house. He's in like another city just losing it, dude.
Insane.
Like not safe for work.
Okay, dude, have you heard from Paul in a while?
Maybe he's in prison again?
Again?
Dude, you want to bite of this?
Do I look like Adam to you?
Okay. Bro, do you follow the rich young ruler?
Is that SoundCloud rapper?
No, it's a guy. He's always posting about his house and his cars and stuff. He met Jesus last week. Literally haven't heard from him.
It's weird.
Dude, Jesus came to town on a donkey.
I saw that. Could he not get an Uber?
I mean, maybe he was surging. Dude, are you in this group chat with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? I used this fire emoji. They got all offended.
Okay, Jonah tweeted he was going deep sea fishing 3 days ago. Have you heard from him?
Maybe he doesn't have service?
Do you follow Saul?
Yeah, what?
He changed his username to Paul.
What? Bro, do you have locations on for the children of Israel? They're just like wandering around. Literally makes no sense.
Have you seen the weather for today?
No, what?
50% chance of quail.
Weird.
Wow. Abram and Isaac posted a selfie that headed the mountains for a little father-son trip.
Amazing. What could go wrong? Wait, what's that rope for?
Oh my goodness, Lot's daughter's pregnant. She's gonna have a baby. I wonder who the dad is.
Too far. Bro, you're following the woman at the well?
It's not like that.
Check your heart, dude.
Well, obviously, back in biblical times, they did not have social media, which honestly would have been kind of cool and awesome to see all of those miracles and stories in real time. But maybe it wouldn't have been all that great. Last week, Taylor talked about how social media is not always an accurate representation and how we rarely get a glimpse into someone's real life. Probably only a small percentage of it. This was my experience too. Social media wasn't really a big thing until probably midway through my high school years. We had digital cameras where you had to upload the images to your computer and then upload them to Facebook off of your massive, large, stationary computer that was in an office. So you really didn't put up anything that wasn't seriously worth it. I didn't even get a smartphone until my junior year. But now you have hundreds of social media platforms within seconds. You can post whatever you want, funny or hurtful, old posts or new. And as I'm sure you've either seen or done, real or fake ones. Now, since Jesus didn't have the iPhone 15 Max or whatever the newest one is, I've honestly lost track at this point, how did information get spread in their time? How did people really get to know who Jesus was, and how do we in the present day? Luckily, Jesus was an open book, no Bible pun intended. He was not secretive about who he was and what he was sent here to do. He wanted us to learn and to find out as much as we could about him. Now, I know all of us in this room are in different spots in our faith journey. Some of you have been followers of Jesus for a long time and know about him, and some of you maybe are just here because your parents dropped you off and left before you can get back in the car. Which, for the record, is completely okay. You're here, and we are really excited that you are, even if you're unsure about this whole Jesus thing. We all start our journeys somewhere. But luckily, we have an entire book talking about the miracles and amazing things that God has done, and we get specific accounts of acts and even words that Jesus himself had spoken. Now, not everything in the Bible is positive and feel good. We get to learn how to handle tough situations by seeing how people and characters in the Bible handled them. This includes Jesus. He and his followers were not shying away from asking those tough questions that needed to be answered. So we're going to take a look at a book called John, which is the fourth book in the New Testament, which is a part of what we call the Gospels. Now, the Gospels are books that tell us about Jesus' life. So we're going to pick up the night before Jesus was crucified. He was trying to explain to his disciples what was about to happen to him and what this meant for them, meaning the disciples, which understandably was pretty hard for them to hear and to comprehend. They had been his closest friends, and they had seen him do so many miraculous things, and now he says he's going to die? That's a lot to take in and to hear. Not to mention, Jesus was telling them things like, you can't go with me where I'm going, and talking in a way that was different from what they were used to hearing. So they started to ask some tough questions. Thomas said to him, Lord, we don't know where you're going, so how can we know the way? Jesus answered, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. If you really know me, you know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him and you have seen him. Now, if you are still new to following Jesus, this can seem somewhat confusing. I mean, actually, even if you are a seasoned follower, it's still really confusing. How can Jesus say, you can't come with me where I'm going, and no one can come to the Father, meaning God, except through me? Now, I know that it may seem like Jesus is being negative, but he's actually meaning this as encouragement. He hears the worry that his friends have, and he does his best to reassure them. And although they couldn't physically go where Jesus was going, that didn't mean that he was going to be left behind, because he said, if you really know me, you will know my Father as well. From now on, you do know him and have seen him. Meaning that since they had followed Jesus so devoutly and listened and learned from his teachings, that they already know God, and they, meaning the disciples, already know what to do. They know how that they should act and to live and to treat others and pray and all the things that Jesus taught him during his time on earth. Jesus taught them so that they could continue to live out the way that God intended, and Jesus taught them to. This is a reminder for us as well. Jesus taught us firsthand how to follow him too. He doesn't want us to just be acquaintances. He wants us to know him intimately and to know that he is the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus embodied the truth of all scripture and who God is from the very beginning. And the more time we spend hearing and following Jesus, the more we realize the truth of God. This is the part of what it means for Jesus to be the way, the truth, and the life. See, the Bible tells us when we begin to know and trust that Jesus is not just a truth, but the truth, we begin to learn and fully experience God more. Now, I could give you countless examples in my life of how I've seen this play out. And one pivotal moment for me was when I was a sophomore in college. I was dating someone I had been dating since high school, and everything was great until it wasn't. I always went to church growing up my entire life. I knew Jesus and I loved him, but I wouldn't say that I had fully developed a faith of my own quite yet. So to make a 2-year long story short, I decided to take on more roles in church by singing and going on mission trips. And this is when my relationship with Jesus really started to take off. I realized what it really meant to listen and to learn from him. So shortly after I began to grow in my relationship with God, my boyfriend told me that he was experiencing the literal opposite. He told me that he didn't believe in God. And these significantly different viewpoints made me reluctant to keep the relationship going, but he really couldn't understand why. Now, there is so much more I could share on this topic, but the main point that I want to say is that I knew then and I know now that Jesus is the truth. So I knew the answer for me was clear. This relationship no longer served me or my needs to develop and grow in my faith. I was learning the truth of who Jesus was and how he wanted me to live, and I knew that if I stayed in that old relationship, I would not be able to live the fullest life possible through him if I had stayed. God wanted more for me, and I knew that that was not possible with my boyfriend at the time. Now, here I am, 8 years later, married to an awesome, godly man who helps push me to keep my faith moving forward and growing. And for me, I had no issue letting go of a relationship that no longer served me in my walk with Jesus. And it was the best move for me in my journey. Now, for me and you to fully be able to understand what it means for Jesus to be the truth, we need to constantly be striving for the best and fullest relationship with Jesus that we can, because he offers us more than we can even imagine when we experience the fullness that the truth Jesus offers. Now, I know that not all of you have experienced dating, let alone a pivotal moment like I have, and that is okay. Everyone's journey is different, so if you've checked out because you felt like that story didn't pertain to you, I want you to come back. You can totally have accepted Jesus as the way, the truth, and the life, and still be fully following him without some major life moment. And this also means just because you have accepted him as well, doesn't mean that life is always going to be perfect from now on, and that everything's just going to fall into place and to make sense. And while, yes, you may get clarity on some things, this could open up a whole new door of confusion too. It's a process, and we're all learning. Jesus offers us this little bit of advice during a prayer that he is having with God, and it says this: "Make them holy by your truth. Teach them your word, which is truth. Just as you sent me into the world, I am sending them into the world. And I give myself as a holy sacrifice for them so that they can be made holy by your truth." Just like God sent Jesus to share the truth, the disciples were sent by Jesus to do the same. And Jesus gave himself as a holy sacrifice so that me and you, all of us, can share that same truth too. Now, I know this seems kind of like a lot to take in, but it doesn't have to be complicated or scary. We can start telling and living out the truth of Jesus by simply praying as he prayed and trying to live how Jesus would live. Jesus being the truth means that we are on a journey of listening to him and learning what it means to be like him through every moment, big or small. And when we hear Jesus tell us who he is in his words, he says that to know him is to listen to the truth about who God is, the truth about how we can live, and the truth that Jesus is the life that we long for. And this is because Jesus is truth. Now, I want to end this message today with something a little different. I know for some of you, this is probably going to be your jam. You're going to love this. Others of you, you might not really be that into it. But I want to encourage you to lean in for the next few minutes as your coordinator leads you now.